Negative emotion is part of the human experience. We are supposed to have it. No one tells us that, but one of the first things is that when I feel negative emotion, it's one of the first things I say is nothing has gone wrong. So don't panic. Nothing has gone wrong. And then what I've learned is that when I allow it, I have authority over it, as painful as that may be. And it's that tolerance to pain. It's that being able to sit with whatever painful emotion is there. And then historically, as I mentioned, when I've resisted it, I suffer. And I have plenty of evidence in my 42 years of life of resisting it and suffering versus allowing it and having authority over it and processing it. So let me put on my coaching hat for a sec here. I've said it before. I just want to say it again. If you're new here, let me give you the rundown. The way that I coach is there are 4 things you can do with these quote unquote negative emotions, whatever ones feel painful to you. Okay. The first one is what I had said earlier. My favorite, I think a lot of people's favorite, is to numb it. Find some way out of it by seeking some kind of surface level pleasure, sex, porn, food, alcohol, substances, shopping, apps, even work. I sometimes numb with work. And we all do this to some extent. And it's okay, I think, in small doses. I think a little bit of escapism, if you want to watch a TV show after a stressful day, that's okay. The issue is when it becomes in large doses and then you completely dissociate from yourself. And it's that self-neglect I spoke of earlier, and dissociate from your life. And this could lead to addiction, which we've talked about before. So again, notice those urges you have when you're feeling that whatever negative emotion is there, stress, fear, anxiety, whatever. Okay. The second thing we can do with it is to resist it. And this feels very tense. And I imagine, so the analogy I use is the emotions coming and knocking on your door and you're holding the door shut with all of your might. And there's a lot of tension in there. You're pretending it's not there. You're trying to fight it away and eliminate it. Okay. And that takes up a lot of energy. The third thing we can do with negative emotions is to react and to just let it take over and completely overwhelm us. And what that looks like is taking it out on other people, taking it out on the world at large, taking it out on yourself. When you're railing against life, it makes a mess of your life and of your relationships. And in fact, you're doing this when you realize, shit, if I had just dealt with my emotion, I would have had a smaller mess to clean up than now when I look around and I've created mayhem in my life. Okay. And finally, the one that works, allowing it. This is number 4. And this is just being with it. And it sounds so easy, said it best. It sounds so simple, but Lord knows it is not easy to do. And being with it, and I want to underline Matt's point here, is not just in mind, but in body, because you can be with it in mind intellectually, which I've done as well, Matt, and then like recognize, oh, wait a minute, I'm not feeling it. I'm kind of sensing it, or I'm kind of intellectualizing it. So this allowing your emotion is a skill you practice. And this is what I do now, or at least I try to do now, when I'm feeling fear, shame, sadness, loss. Those are kind of my favorite negative emotions to feel. But it's a skill. And I've shared on previous episodes the way I do it. And the first thing is to name it and go beyond bad, sad, mad, glad. Like really name it. Like I did this just the other day. I was feeling like ragey, and I'm like, no, Michael, like, let's go. What is this? What is this? And I kind of refined it. And I use an emotional wheel, which I'm sure we've all seen before. The emotional wheel has all the colors and different names of the emotions on it. And I used frustration. I was feeling frustrated. I wasn't angry. I wasn't irritated. I was frustrated. Okay. And then I go into observer mode. Okay. I name it. I'm feeling frustrated. And then where do I feel it in my body? I observe. I go into that observer witness mode. And for me, frustration feels warm in the cheeks and heavy in my chest. And that's where I was feeling it. And I just noticed it. I don't know how else to describe it. When we talk about allowing, it's a very passive. I think that's why it sounds easy. It sounds very passive, but in fact, it's actually hard to not to want to tell a story about it, pile on other feelings, interpret it in a way, all the other things. So just noticing that this is what I'm feeling, and this is where I'm feeling it in my body. And then I'll say out loud, this is what frustration feels like. Like, hello, come on in, frustration. Let's sit down, have a tea. This is what it feels like to deal with frustration. Does it feel pleasant? No, but it's not supposed to. And that's the key. The key is reminding myself this isn't supposed to be a pleasant experience. What makes it less pleasant is when I resist, numb, react. It's not supposed to be more pleasant, but at least I can just, allow it to be there, feel it. And again, like the repercussions are far fewer than in any of the other three that I've done before. So, I have some tips here for this. Breathe it in, like breathe in it and breathe it in, then release it as many breaths as you need. But I find for me, exhaling is like, oh, my body loves a good breath. And
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of science out there to back that up. I will use the analogy of the wave. A big wave comes in and it washes over you, and you're like, you succumb to it because it takes you, but then eventually that wave starts to crest and then go back down, and then eventually falls away. And you just have to be with yourself through it and in your body. I think that's the thing, because your nervous system is going to tell you something has gone wrong, right? Your nervous system is saying panic, panic, panic. And then I remind myself, I don't need to panic. I just need to hold myself through it. And sometimes I will hold myself. I will like hug myself, depending on what that emotion is.
Hmm.
Cry, I will cry. If I'm feeling sad, I will. This is the part where all the tears just flat out, and I might wail if it's something that's really sad. If it's possible, I'll scream or yell or something. I won't. I don't hit. I don't do that. But I'll find a way to process it and release it, because it is energy, right? I love that, energy in motion. That's great, because it does need to get released somehow through tears or what have you. And I invited in, have some tea, and guess what? When I invite it in, it doesn't stay too long. It's more than 90 seconds, but like sometimes it's just an hour or a day. But that particular process doesn't take me too long. Sometimes just a couple of minutes, and then after that, I might journal if I can. I'll kind of journal it out. Then I'm back to like thinking about it, and I will receive the message. So communicate emotions are communicating a message. So Matt had said at the beginning, I love that. Is this a need that's not being met? Like what's going on here? But you don't do that, guys. Everyone's so quick to want to jump to that step. You can't do that until you've really let it in and like let it sit with you.
Yeah.
Then you can do that. So that's my process for allowing. But I will say this as well. Like I don't do this all the time. I do it when I can, but sometimes my initial automatic reaction is to numb, go for the phone, go for the dopamine, because that's going to make it go away. And then once that doesn't work enough times, I'm like, okay, no, Michael, I got to really sit with this and let it in.